Welcome, everyone. My name is Miranda Beckman, and I've had the honor and privilege of being this month's class supervisor. I'd like to take a few moments and introduce the graduating class of August 2015. From Marietta, Georgia, Megan Dean and guide dog Nathan. From Fulton, New York, Timothy Connors and guide dog Lang. From St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, Elwood Crane and guide dog Steve. From Folsom, California, Richard Hunter and guide dog Klinger. From Warren, Pennsylvania, Joan Phelps and guide dog Hampton. Now we may look like a cozy group here, but we did have two other class participants who've already finished their portion of their training here on grounds at the training facility. They were part of our action training program. Now the action program is for those folks who can't come in for that full 22-day period of time, and they do have other constraints on their time. So they may only be able to come in for 10 days. They'll have 10 days of training here, and then they're given additional days of training in their home area with one of our senior field staff members or training department members. This month, our action training instructor was class supervisor Ben Cawley, and he worked with Heather Berg and guide dog Geely, who are now in Colchester, Vermont, as well as Jewel Ann Lieberman and guide dog Bob, who are in Devon, Pennsylvania. So congratulations to those two teams as well. Now there does come the occasion where someone cannot come to us, but they can still benefit from the use of a guide dog. And it's very important to us to be able to help as many folks as we can gain a little bit more independent travel or safer travel with the use of a guide. So we do also have a program called our home training program, and this is for folks who cannot come here for any number of reasons, whether they're the primary caregiver of an elderly parent or very young child, whether they have work constraints. They cannot come to our facility for any real duration of time. So we bring the dog out to them, and they're trained through our home training program. This month, graduate Mark Berry was trained with guide dog Josiah by support instructor Justine DiNapoli, and they are now in Gardnerville, Nevada. So congratulations to Mark. And again, we do have yet another program that we will help folks obtain a guide dog through, our special needs program, and that's for folks that have additional challenges on top of being visually impaired. This month, our special needs graduate was actually trained via a special needs home training by instructor Julie Engel. And Julie trained Gilbert Randall Quinn, or Randy Quinn as we like to call him, with guide dog Lyra. And that home training was conducted in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, Canada. So congratulations to them as well. We are very proud and pleased with all 9 of our teams that are graduating this month. And we'll get into that a little bit more later on, but at this time of the program, I'd like to turn it over to Tom Panic, our president and CEO.
Gus was at the Yankees game last night, very late, and he looks a little tired to me. I don't know about you guys, but they lost, so I'm sorry. Welcome, everybody, to Guiding Eyes. We're so happy that you've come to celebrate graduation with us, and we know that parents, raisers, friends, family have come from near and far to be here with us today to celebrate the August 2015 graduating class. Welcome everybody online who's watching via YouTube. It's an opportunity for you to experience a little bit of what we do here at Guiding Eyes and the very special moment that we call graduation. Today, I would like to talk about big and small adventures. And I have to start with going back about 20 years ago in my life when I received my first guide dog. And a big adventure to me at that time was going through the ATM line at the bank and managing independently to be able to extract cash and get through college. My parents would put it on one end and I would take it out on the other, right? The reason I bring this up is because I was in line with my very first graduated guide dog, and it was an adventure for me to be able to stand with other people who asked me questions. What does your guide dog do for you? I said, well, he's patterned to help me avoid obstacles like these ropes here in the line. And he's patterned to assist me with getting back and forth on campus. And these patterns help him recognize familiar situations, to which the very nice lady behind me said, does he ever forget your PIN number? That's a small adventure, and as life continues, we go on forward, as you graduates well know, and those of you returning for multiple dogs on bigger adventures. Joan climbing Mount McKinley, what an amazing adventure you had in your life. And whatever the adventure is that you choose, and whatever challenges you want to tackle, Guiding Eyes prides itself in being innovative to help people with visual impairment to achieve their life's goals. We connect really wonderful, loving, beautiful, well-trained dogs to individuals like myself and to you graduating class to help us achieve those life goals and move forward on those adventures, no matter how big or small. And I'm going to have to pause here. I've asked another individual to thank the donors today because it might be a little bit emotional for me. One of my adventures in life was running. During that time in my life, I stopped running long distances because I could no longer see well enough to navigate a route. And for many years I had a guide dog, and I would have to rely on human guides to be able to assist me through the environment. And I more or less gave up long distance running and was no longer able to follow a passion of mine, an adventure. And fortunately there were volunteers and people that assisted me and helped me get back into that life. One of those volunteers was a volunteer at the United States Association of Blind Athletes who's here today. And he reached out to me when I was walking with my guide dog and living in Washington, D.C. And he said, would you consider running a marathon? I hadn't run in more than 20 years, any length of distance. So to have someone reach out to me and encourage me and to be there to say, you can do this, even though you've lost your sight. I will help you find a guide. I will help you find a support system. I will help you at the beginning of the race. I will help you through the race, and I will help you at the end of the race so that you can accomplish that goal. And that person is here today graduating with the class, Richard Hunter. When Richard told me this, and he helped me get back into running, I was able to succeed. I was able to complete my first marathon blind. And I thought, we help each other. How do we help each other, and how can I give back? It was about that time that I was queuing up for the Boston Marathon, and many of the visually impaired athletes learned that I was now CEO of Guiding Eyes. And they asked me, is it possible to have a guide dog help us run when a human guide is not present? Could it be done safely in an environment that allows us to go out and remain healthy, walking out the door in the morning like anybody else who wants to take a jog in a familiar area? And I said, I don't know. Let me get back to my training staff, my professional staff, and my board of directors, and I will see. Kathy Zubricki, who's here today, who has helped us grow this school to help people with special needs, whether an individual is deafblind, an individual has a balance challenge, or has a disability in addition to blindness, has helped us succeed in training dogs through the special needs program over time. And when she and I spoke, we thought, this is another example how we can help individuals who are blind to be independent. Is it possible to do this? We honestly did not know. But what we did do is we faced that challenge as an adventure. And together, what we decided to do was to try. We didn't give up. And I'm very pleased to say that through the very hard work of many people on the training team, many support, including our volunteer puppy raiser, we have today a very special moment that is very consistent with the mission of Guiding Eyes, and that is helping individuals be more independent with the possibility of being able to run with a guide dog. I'd like to pause for a moment and ask Jolene to please come up to the podium for a moment. Jolene, I spent the past 6 months through the winter, through the snow, through the cold, training with Klinger so that we could give him to an individual who loves to run, a person who served his country, and a person who wanted to achieve this dream. And it was really because of Jolene's dedication, her thoughtfulness, her expertise, and her love that she was able to succeed in training Klinger to be able to safely guide Richard through his life's journey so that he too could have the adventure that he so long wanted, which was to run independently. I'd like to thank Jolene. A warm, heartfelt round of applause. We only have one dog that's been trained to run, and we're going to pause and evaluate and think and contemplate Richard's success as he goes home. And I wanted to congratulate you, Richard, for setting this challenge for us to be able to achieve, and congratulate not only you, but the 2015 graduating class who has supported you through this journey, and as you've supported them through their journey. You're a first, and I'm pleased that you're leading the way, but I want to go back to say that each of you are leading the way. Each of you, whatever your adventure is, whether it's Megan and Nathan going home with their parents and be able to have peace and harmony with her dog, or I have to mention this quite humorously, Timothy, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Gus to my left here is the uncle of Lang. So we'll keep Gus posted on your progress as things go. Make us proud. So I'd like to next point out and introduce the board of directors of Guiding Eyes, are individuals who volunteer to support these kinds of initiatives, as well as the many other initiatives that we engage in to make this school what it is today. It's not without all of you out there, including the puppy raisers that I met earlier today, that make this possible. But we also have a very dedicated, very passionate board that gives selflessly both of their time and of their pocketbook to make today's graduation possible. And one individual that has been giving countless hours to help us continue to expand the services that we offer is Wendy Aglietti. Wendy, I'd like to introduce you to come to the stage. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tom. That was a nice introduction. I'm delighted to be here to experience another magical graduation. I'm also here as a representative of the Board of Directors to thank our talented staff, from administrative to instructors, all important in the chain of expertise. I'm here to thank our selfless volunteers, 1,500 strong. Isn't that incredible? We're so lucky to have such an enormous number. They help us complete our life-changing work. Our volunteers, like our staff, recognize the importance of their valuable time. And I am here to thank all of our generous donors as well, without whom we could not fulfill our mission, including a very important acknowledgement to two important sponsors of this August 2015 graduating class. A heartfelt thank you to the Dean family for their support. I'd like to share their eloquent words. Congratulations to the Guiding Eyes class of August 2015. May you and your new companions walk side by side and experience this world together in peace and happiness. We are especially proud of our daughter Megan. We look forward to being a part of this journey with you and Nathan. We would also like to extend our sincere gratitude to Thrivent Financial for sponsoring this milestone event that celebrates all of our August 2015 graduates. I'd now like to introduce Kathy Zubricki, Vice President of Training Programs, and I hope you enjoy this celebratory day. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy, and welcome everyone to this very happy occasion where we come together to celebrate the very many people who made this day a reality. And I'd like to first ask all the puppy raisers if they would please kindly stand up. You are truly extraordinary people, and by opening your hearts and your home to a Guiding Eyes puppy to raise for somebody you had yet to meet but you knew needed you, well, that's a very profound gift, and we are deeply, deeply grateful to all of you. I'd also like to thank our instructors. Guiding Eyes is very fortunate to have a team of very talented instructors, wholly dedicated to success, both in training their dogs as they get them ready for class and also training the teams of students that you see, or graduates now that you see in front of you. So I'd like to thank Karen, Jolene, Nikki, and Miranda for doing such an excellent job of matching these teams and ensuring their future success. And Catherine, I'd like to thank you as well for keeping the class on task and running smoothly. So thank you, all of you. And now just a little bit about our graduates. Megan has a master's in Spanish, and I understand from Miranda that she has one of the most enthusiastic ways of rewarding her dog when she's taught her dog something new. She gives a very enthusiastic yes, but with a fist pump. So Tim has had many interests, and early on he expressed an interest in cooking. And so he shared with us when he was in 4th grade, for his birthday, he asked his parents for a KitchenAid, and he got one. His brothers and friends affectionately called him Tim Crocker. Tim is currently studying communications and environmental sciences, and this is his first dog as well as Megan's first dog. Elwood, this is Elwood's second dog, and as you know, he's from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, and he has enjoyed the heat and humidity here so much that he's actually thinking of relocating. Richard is a former Marine. He has three girls, and he said the other day that it seems like their goal in life is to fix him, along with his wife as well. And he is as an athlete. He's a marathon runner, as you've already met and known, and you'll hear more about that later. And Joan, this is Joan's 7th dog. She's had guide dogs since 1974. And as Tom mentioned, she was the first blind woman to climb Mount McKinley. So this is our graduating class. It's a very diverse group, but they are united in one common goal. United in one common goal to experience and enjoy the companionship and enhanced mobility and independence that comes with choosing to partner with a guide dog. So once again, please join me in congratulating the August 2015 class. And I'd like to share briefly with you a quote from one of our other graduates who wrote very poignantly about what Guiding Eyes means to her. Because Guiding Eyes exists, the silent are able to find their voice, the lonely find a community, and the newly blind rediscover themselves. The sheltered can find the courage to go out and experience the world. Because of Guiding Eyes, we are all reminded that there is more good and love in the world than we ever imagined. And for me personally, this speaks to the heart and soul of who we are and what we do. And we're able to do this because of all of you and the support that you provide so that we can continue in this great work. Thank you, each and every one, and please enjoy the rest of the day.
At this time in the program, I would like to turn it over to our first graduate speaker, Richard Hunter.
What an amazing opportunity. I wasn't expecting to start tearing up before I even had to get up here. But thank you, Thomas, for those kind words, and Jolene for your support. And Jolene, I could hear you sniffle, so I don't know if that was your cold or just your enthusiasm. As I've been introduced, my name is Richard Hunter from outside of Sacramento, California. And I have a lovely wife of almost 24 years next week and 3 lovely daughters, 18, 14, and 9. And I am losing my vision due to hereditary eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. And I've lost the majority of my vision. But what makes me unique is that I've chosen to embark upon endurance sports as a way and a form of recreational rehabilitation. And that even goes into a big year for me, 2013. I had a big year planned. It was a pinnacle year for me in my physical activities. I started off the year in January learning with sighted guides to run on single-track trails that I couldn't see near my home. My goal was to run and finish the American 50-mile endurance run, which I did in 10 hours, 24 minutes, and 35 seconds. And then on July 4th, with a great friend of mine, a retired Marine, he strapped himself to me and we plunged into Lake Natoma, and we embarked upon a 4.5-mile open water swim. I'm not a great swimmer. It took me 3 hours, but I was able to finish nonetheless. And then on July 5th, the next day, I was scheduled for a 5-hour tandem bicycle ride with my Ironman triathlon friend, Justin Waller. We were 2 hours into a 5-hour bike ride, and a 91-year-old woman who didn't see us, the sun was in her eyes, she hit us nearly head-on, going about 20 miles an hour. My guide, Justin, hit the ground after he ricocheted off the hood. I went off the back of the tandem, head first through the windshield of the car. I woke up inside the car when emergency personnel were on the scene. Apparently my head was in the lap of the lady who was driving the car. My helmet was broken in half. I had 2 facial fractures, a severe concussion, multiple lacerations, a broken neck, and I'd lost several units of blood in the front seat of the car. When I awoke dazed and confused, I was strangely alert as to what was going on around me. And when I woke up and somebody told me I was in the front seat of the car, I was wondering, well, why in the world would I be in the front seat of the car? I'm supposed to be riding my bike on a 5-hour bike ride. And I started to move, and they told me that there was a lot of blood and there was a lot of glass. And I could sense the anxiety around me. They were basically treating me as though I was going to die. And I even remember thinking, is dying really this easy? And I said my final prayers, not knowing. Well, obviously that was not the plan. I was evacuated from the car by helicopter and taken to a hospital. And when I went home, I had a neck brace for 3 months. I had a hospital bed in my living room for a month. And I had all sorts of sores in places you don't want to have sores. That was a very, very tough time. Fortunately, in all the people that I meet and I know, I'm surrounded by amazing role models. Even people like Thomas Panic, combat wounded veterans who I can help serve and serve as a resource to. And because of them and because of my desire to, show them that I was following their example and so I could follow the example of others, 2 months after I got my neck brace off, 5 months and 3 days after my accident, I crossed the finish line of a marathon. I went on to run the Boston Marathon in 2014, and I swam from Alcatraz to San Francisco 11 months after my accident, and my neck is still broken. Now, what does all this have to do with guide dog school? That day was an exclamation mark for my family. Anybody who's been through something traumatic, if you're the person in those shoes, you can endure it, but you suffer for your families, and you see what impact it's having on them. As an example, there's a couple things that really stay with me. And one of those was when my middle daughter, was notified that I was inbound on a helicopter to a hospital. I later found out that she dropped her phone and collapsed to the ground in our neighbor's driveway. My buddy, who flew off the bicycle in front of me, when he gathered his wits and got off the ground and couldn't find me, my close friend was the one who found part of my body sticking out of a windshield. Everybody in my family became hypersensitive about my safety. And they knew that even though I have a lot of resources, more resources than most people, by the way, in terms of sighted running guides, I run 6 days a week to train for my events, and I don't have someone to run with every day. Well, I know my familiar routes around my neighborhood, and so I would run them slowly but by myself. And I've gotten hurt a little bit many times. I've had many near misses. And at the same time as I'm recovering and I'm driving around in the automobile with my family, they would point out all the distracted drivers, people text messaging and driving. I heard it constantly. So my middle daughter, once again, she says, "Dad, when are you going to get a guide dog?" And I said, Lindsay, for the millionth time, if I could have a guide dog that could run with me and keep me safe, I would have gone years ago. But no guide dog school will allow that. However, my daughter also knew that there were blind and visually impaired runners all over the country, flying under the radar, running with their dogs. So you fast forward to 2014, and you heard Thomas talk about that meeting. Just a few hundred yards from the start of the Boston Marathon. It just so happens I was sitting next to this surly character from Colorado, and we were having a conversation about running with guide dogs, and here comes Thomas. And he has a history of running with guide dogs. In fact, he's the first person I met who ran with a guide dog. And I looked up online because I read about him in an article online in Bark Magazine. And 5 years ago, I posted a message to him asking some questions. And Thomas happened up, and that's when I said, Thomas, you're the CEO of a guide dog school. You're a visually impaired marathoner. You have a guide dog. What do you think? What a great day. So what does this mean to me? This means safety. It means freedom. It means companionship. It also means a peace of mind for my family. And also it means that when Klinger and I are successful, that perhaps other people will be able to follow in our shoes. And just a case in point, when Thomas wrote his first blog describing the Guide Dog Project months ago, I got contacted by a runner from Kalamazoo, Michigan. And she called me and she said, Richard, I was so excited I couldn't sleep all night long. Because as hard as she's working, she just can't find enough people to train with in her community. And that's just one story. And just to wrap things up, I had the privilege of being able to go over to the Canine Development Center earlier this week to visit, at that time, 7-day-old German Shepherd puppies, and Klinger's a daddy. And as I was sitting there and I was reflecting that Klinger's birth date is May 31st, 2013. Klinger was in the whelping kennel on the day of my accident. And I started reflecting on that, and I thought, Klinger and the other guide dogs here, when they're brought into this world and you do all what you do, Klinger's purpose in life was to be joined to me. He's not going to work with me for a couple years and move on to someone else. I am the person that he's going to come alongside. And I thank everybody from the breeding staff to the socializers, the puppy raisers, the training staff and administrative staff, and everybody who put in the extra time and effort to make this running project possible. Thank you very much.
Just beautiful, just beautifully said, and what an incredible story. And thank you so much for sharing so very candidly your experiences. That means a lot to us all. At this time, I'd like to introduce our other graduate speaker, Joan Phelps.
Thank you. Thank you for the time and the effort that you have put into what we have here today. In my home in Northwest Pennsylvania, I put my hand on the front door, and Hampton here will be at my side. I will walk down the sidewalk, and Hampton will show me the pole where I can feel the button and press on that button and the traffic light will change for me to cross. I can choose to go to the grocery store, to the coffee shop, half a mile further on to my church, and maybe a walk a mile on, and then make a turn and return home on a quiet residential street. And I can also choose to walk along the city park that borders the Allegheny River. Or I can make the other choice and walk on a forestry road in the Allegheny National Forest. And as I do that, I will feel gratitude. And I thank you for that. Now, I'm sure that everyone in this room, at one time in your life, someone said to you, you can't do that. It isn't possible to do that. The entire year that I spent training to climb Mount McKinley, many people said that to me. They said things like, you can't do that. No blind person has ever summited Mount McKinley. They said things like, don't you know? People die climbing that mountain every single year. Well, so be it. I want to give you a short poem written by Edgar Gust. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so until he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one has ever done it." But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, with no doubting or quit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joan. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Linda D'Amato. Linda is the director of our puppy programs and a very dear friend. Linda?
I'm already prepared with a tissue. Wow. I just have to say how grateful I am to be here today. It's really an inspiring day, and I can't think of a better place to be. I'd like to take the time to thank our team of over 1,500 actually, volunteers, our donors, our staff, our graduates, our board of directors, and our amazing puppy raisers. All of this is vitally important to the journey of a Guiding Eyes puppy. So every step of the way, our brood stud foster families, early socializers, home socializers, home litter care families, puppy sitters, region coordinators, kennel and administrative volunteers, both here and in Patterson, tour leaders, ambassadors. It takes a village to raise a puppy. And I'd like to ask, and finally, thank you to our puppy raisers who give really the ultimate gift of a potential guide. So I'd like to ask every person who volunteers here to stand because we would like to acknowledge you. Okay, so now I'd like to present to our puppy raisers their certificates and photos. Miranda has one here for you. And I'd like to ask one member of a family or puppy raising unit to come up and accept their certificate and photo. I'm going to mention if there are raisers who aren't here, so our grads will know who is here and not here. So, and I want to acknowledge everybody on our list for the action students and the home trains. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate Guiding Eyes Hampton, who was raised by Mallory Busso from Cleveland West region. This next raiser, the Kelly family from Monroe, New York, have raised 10 dogs, and they raise Guiding Eyes Klinger. Guiding Eyes Lang was raised by Christy Murphy and family from our Central New York region. Nathan was raised by the Neal family from our North Carolina region. The Mezzacappa O'Brien family from Cleveland East. And they were not able to be here today, but let's acknowledge them. For action training, Guiding Eyes Bob was raised by Becky and Kirk Junko from Northern Connecticut region. Guiding Eyes Geely was raised by Molly Perrin. Oftentimes we do have 2 raisers or even more for one dog. Some people love starting puppies, some people just life changes, and some people are great at finishing a dog. So it's a variety of people, and we love them all. So again, Guiding Eyes Geely was raised by Molly Perrin from our Monroe, New York region. Again, an action training dog. Geely was also raised by Stu and Cindy Chait. They have raised 23 dogs. And on to our home training dogs. Guiding Eyes Josiah was raised by three different raisers. Kathleen Hayward from our Maine region, who has also raised 12 dogs. Linda Siegel from our New York City region, raised also one of the raisers for Guiding Eyes Josiah. Am I saying it right? Josiah? Josiah was also started by Elizabeth Clausmore, also from our New York City region. And Guiding Eyes Lyra, also home training, was raised by Trey Clow and the Clow family from Virginia Beach. So what I'd like to say is that from small beginnings come great things. So I'd like to introduce to you, are they here? 2 future stars, Ichabod and Mabel. And I just want you to know that, first of all, I have a request, and that is that these puppies will be available for autographs after graduation, way down in the grooming room at the end of the hallway. But my request is that if you know people who love dogs, who want to make a difference in life, please talk to them about these volunteer opportunities, because I will venture to say every single person who volunteers here gets more than they give. And it's an amazing experience. These puppies, look at them, are simply amazing, specially bred dogs to fulfill an amazing purpose. Now, I just spent a week with two of my grandkids, so I always like to close what I say at graduation with a quote, and this is kind of a special one. It's by A.A. Milne from The House at Pooh Corner, and I thought it was brilliant for today. Piglet sidled up to Pooh from behind. "Pooh," he whispered. "Yes, Piglet?" "Nothing," said Piglet, taking Pooh's paw. "I just wanted to be sure of you. I want to say to you, thank you for being there and letting us be sure of you in so many different ways." Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, I've had really just an absolute joy working with the men and women you see here before you today. To my class, I want to say thank you for all of your hard work and everything that you have said yes to. All the times that we said, we need to change the schedule. It's a little too hot outside this afternoon for the dogs. Yes, we can do that. I'd like everybody to bring their booties to White Plains because the dogs, it's going to be warm again because it's August. We're going to need to work the dogs in booties. Have you guys practiced? Yes, we have, yes. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can. Anything we've asked. The spirit of this class is certainly one of a can-do attitude, and there are 5 unstoppable men and women before you, and I am just honored that I could be a part of your journey. So I want to thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey, because you're just amazing people, and I just think the world of you. And to my team, so many people have worked so hard, but I especially want to say thank you to the trainers who have just given so much of their time and their heart and dedication. Jolene Hollister, you've done extra duty. Karen Fellows, you're an amazing senior partner. Keep up the good work. Nikki, you are so incredibly organized and so you push us all to the next level because you so want to do this so incredibly well, and you're doing amazing. Catherine, it has been wonderful to have you in class with us, and I hope you got to really just enjoy the experience of being with these folks and this team, and I hope you've learned a lot. I also want to say a quick thank you to Nick Speranza, who helped us with Klinger and getting him out in some of those longer runs as well. We didn't get a chance to acknowledge him. And I really hope I pronounced your last name right. I just know you as Nick. So thank you to all of your hard work, and I'm honored, and I so enjoyed being part of your team. I would like Catherine to just stand up real quick. Catherine, after this is all done, we're going to have a little time for socializing, but Catherine will be conducting a kennel tour, which will be widely announced throughout the building. Don't worry, you can't miss it. But this is who will be leading you on your kennel tour. Thank you, Catherine. And now, congratulations to the class. Again, you've just been an amazing group of folks to work with, and I thank you again for all of your hard work. Time for certificates, right? All right, congratulations go out to Megan and Nathan. sorry. Tim and Lang. Elwood and Steve. Richard and Klinger. And to Joan and Hampton. And at this point in the program, I'd like to turn it over to Becky Barnes Davidson, who is the Manager of Consumer Outreach and Graduate Support. And she's gonna, she's gonna make some announcements, just a few more announcements, and then closing remarks. Thank you all for joining us today, and here comes Becky.
I had to wake my dog up. You know, this has been a really wonderful ceremony this afternoon. And my dog, I'm sorry, Richard, but he slept through your whole speech. I'll tell it to him later. You know, really, we hold these ceremonies 12 times a year. The amazing thing is that it never, ever gets old. And the reason for that is just because each individual who graduates from this program is unique. We all have traveled our own path that has brought us to this time and this place on this day. And now we celebrate that next adventure that's coming. You 5 will leave this building tomorrow, but you won't leave our hearts. And so I just want to wish you joy in the next adventure as you go home and settle into your routines with your dog, whether it's running or doing errands, going to school, whatever life brings your way. And I especially want to say that I'm sure that Elwood and Joan will join me and the rest of our graduate family, some 1,000 strong, in welcoming Richard, Tim, and Megan to the Guiding Eyes graduate family. We're so happy to have you on board and so look forward to hearing about your adventures, big or small, and knowing that like me and all of our other fellow graduates, we love and appreciate that living four-legged being by our side. So I just want you to especially give yourselves a big hand. You guys have worked hard. You've played hard too, but you've worked hard in circumstances and weather and all that stuff. And you know what? One of the unique things about this part of the country is no matter what graduation it is, we can complain about the weather. And we do. But it's okay because life can be like that. But I want you just to really give yourselves a big hand, and we'll join you. Congratulations, August 2015. So that's the closing remarks. Just a couple quick announcements. As Miranda said, Catherine will be leading the kennel tour in a bit. In the meantime, the gift shop is open out here, I believe. There's some really cool stuff in there. The puppies, Mabel and Icarus, are down there waiting to hand out autographs down in the grooming room. And also upstairs in the dining room, there are refreshments. And feel free to stroll the nature path and enjoy your afternoon. It's a beautiful day. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for all you do.
Good to see you, Melissa.